I wanted to take today to kind of just review Elyon as a whole. So the plan is we're going to just kind of go over a whole bunch of different topics. We'll play the game, obviously, during it and such. We'll do some arenas. Or maybe we'll farm mobs or something. I'm not really sure. But I wanted to review Elyon as a whole, just to have something out there to kind of document the closed beta experience, right? And so what that means is going over like the mechanics of the game to start, progression, different sort of aspects that you can customize your build and make the gameplay kind of unique to you. We're going to go over the pay-to-win aspects in the store, right? The things that people consider pay-to-win or not. And also, this is kind of important, but it's important to consider pay-to-progress faster as well. In my opinion, personally, I think pay-to-win is usually split into two categories. Pay-to-win, where you're able to get things that other players will never be able to, because you can only pay for them, and they are directly related to power. And the other category being pay to progress faster, which is you're paying to get something or progress with your character faster than another character or another player could without paying, okay? I kind of separate those two different categories, and I think that helps kind of better define things. So we'll go over that a bit. And we'll go over just generally kind of the utility things you can do in the game, the sort of fun aspects of the game, the different kinds of gameplay styles you can have, and more importantly, actually most importantly, I would say, we want to go over the long-term, the really long-term gameplay. Okay, so you play an MMO, it's because you're there with maybe friends, maybe you're there solo, which is also important to think about. Is a game good for solo players? And then what makes the game good, and how are you going to play this game for 2 years, right? Because that's how I look at MMOs. Is if you're playing an MMORPG, rather, you're probably going to play this game for 2+ years because you want to see character progression, you want to see progression, with the server actually itself and the people around you. There's social progression. There's a lot of things that you can do to kind of, be in a positive or negative social environment. A lot of people create negative social environments because that's fun for them, and a lot of other people create positive social environments. These are very MMO-esque things that certain MMOs, depending on mechanics and such, make it easier to make a positive gameplay versus negative gameplay. We'll talk about that a little bit. But these are the sort of aspects, it's a lot, but we're going to kind of go over that over the next few hours. And the plan is that I will take the stream, I'll kind of cut it up into bits where we discuss different topics, or maybe you're just watching this because it's like a 4-hour-long video on YouTube, and all that I've done is highlight different portions where we talk about stuff. So I'm not sure how I'm going to cut this up quite yet, but that's the plan, is that we are going to just literally live on stream. I don't have anything in front of me about what I'm going to talk about. But I wanted to go over things, from my perspective of playing over the weekend, playing over CBT1, what I've seen, from both the in-game stuff and the player's point of view, and maybe we'll have maybe Kaleida, some other folks drop by and give their thoughts too as we talk about different topics. Okay, so that's the plan for today. And again, there's no script or anything. I'm not going over anything kind of. On paper or in any order even, but I wanted to at least start with the basic stuff, right? What the game is, how it plays, etc., the cool parts about it, and I'll probably miss something because, again, I don't have a script in front of me. But I'm definitely going to try to target as much as I can and as much as I remember, and I'll click all the different buttons that I have on my keyboard to make sure that I've gone over the important aspects of all the different UIs and all the different things you could do and such, okay? And I do think this is pretty important because there's a lot of different games coming out right now, right? Between, expansions for games, you have Bless Unleashed, you have New World coming out now it's the day before Elyon's release, which again scares me, because again, they're just trying to butt heads with each other to steal gameplay, players, right, and steal the player base, and it's always been that way between different companies. It happens a lot. We see it a lot with Blizzard as well, like we talked about yesterday. We had somebody in chat point out it's very true, and so I want to make sure that the game has its sort of due diligence. The people who are playing Elyon or want to play Elyon have some good information. I don't know if this is going to actually be a useful video for other people, or if it's going to become a source of information that, people keep linking to others or what, but I wanted to at least try to put something out there from my perspective so that I can at least say that I've done my part, okay? So people get some educational, proper knowledge from people who've played a lot, who've done a lot of research, who have seen things in Korea as well, and not from my own perspective, but from the perspective of people who play there, right? And talk about the true positives and negatives without any kind of exaggeration or anything, right? I read a Reddit post today, and somebody said that they got legendary gear after the tutorial, and they thought that was ridiculous because it's too easy to get legendary gear in the game. That's a complete lie. And they put together a huge post and put that in there. So I don't understand, that's just not true at all, period. That's not even... So people are already putting things out there with zero educational knowledge of what they're talking about, which sucks, and I don't like that. So I want people to make their own educated choices based on facts and what we actually see. And what I will say is an opinion, I will let you know, or if I say something that's an opinion, I will let you know it's an opinion. And opinions are two ways, right? It's my opinion versus your opinion, and everybody has their own thoughts, and I want to make sure that that's very clear, okay? And some, maybe this video will get views or not. I don't really care. But we're also Twitch streaming right now, so we can get comments live from the audience here in the chat, which is there. But I'm streaming extremely early today, so that I don't expect too many people to be up quite early for one of my streams anyways. So this just gives me a chance to kind of go over all the mechanics and such. I have tea here. It's still hot. But it gives me a chance to go over the mechanics and everything before we kind of hop into more of the review portions for the more controversial things that we've seen kind of online, right? Like pay to win or shop things, okay? And I have my opinions about that as well that I want to go over, so. And again, my opinions can be wrong. That's totally fine. It's important for everybody to make up their own thoughts and consider their own thoughts based on what's presented in front of them, okay? So, first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go over the mechanics, general gameplay, and feel of Elyon, okay? And what's going on, and how the closed beta has been running for everybody, and what do you do with a character. There's no editing here. I'm not going to show any gameplay or anything that's relevant to some of the things I'm talking about, but I can go over some UI aspects, and you can kind of see in front of you what's going on, okay? First of all, Elyon, compared to a lot of other games, is an extremely customizable build game. The idea is that you are highly encouraged to customize your character that you choose based off of a class at the start to be whatever type of gameplay you want, okay? And a lot of people come into the stream and they ask, okay, is the gameplay tap target or action target, right? Is it a hybrid of both, or what kind of thing? Or people come in and ask, what kind of things can you customize, or what kind of builds can you make, okay? The answer to all that is yes, because you can kind of pick and choose your gameplay style depending on your build. It is highly focused on action-styled combat, but there are variants of skills, variants of gameplay, or just skills that maybe some classes have more than others that are also tap-target skills, or tap-target gameplay, but still, the game is very much encouraging you to do action combat, because it's much harder. There's no real tap targeting to pick a specific target. You have to literally look at them and hope that you're targeting them. It is very action target focused, okay? A lot of games are coming out like that, so maybe you kind of understand where I'm coming from with having to actually look around, pick targets and hit certain things, okay? So that's the premise of the gameplay, okay? That's the premise of how you're moving. Some classes are very, very mobile versus others. I'm playing Elementalist this weekend, and I did it during the first CBT because it's been a lot of fun. I picked it for both. And during most of the moves here, I can move around while casting skills, but that one was one that I had to stand still for. This is one that I have to stand still for. This is one that I have to stand still for. It's invincibility, obviously. But you kind of understand, there are some movement skills as well as I push different buttons, and some of them I can move while casting. Some of them require targets. Others require a little cast time where I'm standing still, and I can actually be interrupted during those cast times as well. In fact, I can even be interrupted during some of these movement cast times that don't look like they have a cast time, but they can actually be interrupted as well. Interruptions are a lot of the PvP gameplay, definitely. And even PvE gameplay, a lot of mobs will try to interrupt you and cause you to stop casting a spell or doing whatever it is you were just about to do, giving you a small little maybe 0.1 tick of just being unable to do anything, maybe having a short route where you can't actually move. There's a lot of mechanics like that across both PvE and PvP, right? So, question then is, what is the unique aspects of character customization, okay? And a lot of people consider this with similarity to Arcade, okay? 2-second thing, Arcade is a game where you can create a character and choose your class at any time you want. Whenever you want, you can change it for a very minimal cost. You can do whatever sort of crazy things you want, but most of the gameplay is based on the class and skills that you choose within it, as well as what types of those, or versions of those skills, okay? Those are ancestral skills for those who played Arcade. I played a lot of Arcade too. People who know me know why I'm talking and making this reference. But that is still the closest game to Elyon ever. And I still think Arcade has more customization, but that's hard to say. They're really up kind of button head to head, and you'll see why right now. So let's go over it. So there's like 5 or 6 different aspects of character customization, okay? One, we'll just go over the easy one, is gear, okay? Gear that you use makes your build what it is, okay? And even there's a lot of gear that actually has different effects or different unique things. For example, my weapon has a fixed effect that helps it, that I can kind of play around as well, or my gloves have a fixed effect that also I can play around or try to use as an advantage in combat. And the game does give you tons of stats for you to kind of look at, and you know, there's descriptions of each of these and how they work. This is all kind of, you know, standard nowadays for a lot of MMOs, but it's good to have a lot of information, right? So gear is one. And you'll see there's a lot of different things here with gear, and we'll get into that next. So, but let's talk about skills, actually. So skills, obviously, big customization aspect of the game. You know, you can build your character off of this. But there's like 24 skills in Elementalist, and it's probably very similar for each class. And each of these skills has 4 different variants that actually really do change the skill in massive ways. Just taking a look at the first one, my basic ability, which is this lightning, has 4 different variants on it. And you can kind of unlock these over time as you level up and as you unlock certain unique aspects. This variant actually changes the skill to a lock. There you go. Changes the skill to a lock-on targeting skill. And you pick your targets by scanning through up to 5 targets. You let go of the button, and it does its effect. Okay. This next one actually hits. Whenever it hits 4 times on targets, you get a little AOE pulse that comes out. It hits everything around you. Pretty good for AOE farming, or just good in PvP when you're in mass PvP if you want to continuously do damage to people, because it decreases the movement speed of all those targets as well, and that's pretty useful in PvP. This one makes it do double damage. What is it? Double hit speed. There we go. Just move this there. Doubles its hit speed, but it changes it to a skill you can only use while standing still. So, again, maybe good for AoE farming in PvE, maybe not so much for PvP, depends on your gameplay style. The fourth one makes it so that its element changes based on the last skill that you used. And this is important for Elementalist because there's 3 different types of skills: electricity, fire, and cold, and you can mix and match each one depending on which builds, depending on which situation, and so on, okay? And there's other different bonuses that happen. So this is a sort of just overview of an example of the different variants of these skills, and some of them can get absolutely crazy. Shatter is a single target skill that's an AoE on that target, but the fourth one changes it into an AoE that you can cast somewhere else, and it can actually cause CC, and its power increases, but this is a huge investment because of the next thing, skill attributes. You can invest into these using skill attribute points you can see at the top. So you have to pick and choose what variants you want based on your build, depending on what you're trying to accomplish with that build. And currently I'm sitting in my PvP build, and so my PvP build is more focused around doing very fast CC as much as possible, keep people crowd controlled, let other people do the damage, or let me follow up with good damage if the target is crowd controlled well enough, okay? So skill attribute points, how do you get those? You get them from leveling, and you also get them from your gear. So this gear that I have, that we talked about earlier, actually has sockets here, these Runestones, And the higher level runestones you have, the better runestones and the more runestones you have, the more skill attribute points you gain. So, for example, this runestone here gives me 4 skill attribute points. And of course I have many of these, and that adds up quite well. There's also some collectible sort of achievement ways to get some additional skill attribute points that you'll progress with over time, just through dungeons and such. But the important aspect is that most of them come from these runestones, and we'll talk about color and everything in a little bit too. So that's your sort of value for how many skill attribute points you get, and you get more over time, obviously, as you progress, as you upgrade gear, which gives it more slots to put stuff in. So instead of 2 or 3, instead of 1 to 2, and so on. Okay. And the game actually gives you an offhand weapon right at the start and even later on that just has 6 slots, and you're very much encouraged to use that for an extremely long time, because these 6 slots are very good. You can have up to a tier 3 runestone, so up to 3 skill points, and just right at the beginning of the game you can have a whole bunch. It's very nice. The game even gives you at the very start a special runestone that gives you 20 skill points when it's socketed. And you are, again, encouraged to keep this and even upgrade it over time and use it forever if you want, depending on your build. Right? So that's how you get these skill attribute points. You can slot them into different things. You can make your build pretty cool. And you slot those skills down at the bottom of your screen. Now, it's important to note that some of these are locked because you get them at later times. Okay, so you can unlock a slot that you can put any skill into when you get a second breakthrough equipment. It's a thing. Get it over time. There's an alt that you unlock as well. We'll talk about that later. But for the most part, you can just put whatever you want, wherever you want on your bar. However you want to do it, depending on your build. You can put anything anywhere you want, and you can upgrade those things, and then they do different things, right? So, lots of skill customization. You can do this whenever you want. It's totally free. Completely. Just from one fight to the next, you can have a totally different build as long as you change your skills out of combat, okay? So we're going to go ahead and cancel what I just did there, because I want to stay in this build. Oh no, it's already saved my bed. Okay, let me load up my PvP build again. There. Alright. And so now, we talked about runestones a little bit, so why don't we go ahead and talk about what color means here and why that matters. Okay? So, the color of the runestones actually gives you points towards rune attributes. These are like passives, essentially. Okay? Each of these different passives, the number of which, is based on your runestone socketed. And you might say, well, your runestones don't match how many you have here. I don't have 12 assault. You can look in my gear and say, well, there's only 1 runestone that's red here. Why do you have 12 assault? Okay, well, don't look into that too much. The reason that that's the case that it is because in the Fate runes, which I rushed for at the beginning, right at the end here, this rune energy that you choose, this passive, actually gives you 9 points of every other color. It's very, very good early game. And I just suggest that it's a pretty good build to start when you're making a new character. But, that said, I can unslot that and you'll see kind of how this changes. Right, so now I have less of each. But the idea here is that these are each passives that give you bonuses. So this is control, there's more CC related things here. Fate is kind of RNG and XP and loot drop based. Support is very much healing. Protection is very much defense. Awakening is like random craziness things, like decreases attack speed but increases movement speed. It's like a trade-off passive skill tree. And each of these skill trees actually at the very bottom here have a skill that you can unlock. A new skill based on which one you really dove into with the colors, okay? This is the skill that's unlocked with the Z button down here, okay? And you can only have 1 of them. But they are also kind of crazy things that you can add on to your build, right? Depending on your build and how you're playing, they can do very, very unique things. Okay, so that is the rune attributes of the color of the runestones that you put into your gear, which give you skill attribute points that you can put into your passives. that we put into your skills to make them vary, okay? And this is all based on the gear that you have, right? Fun little overview there. But we're not done yet. So there's still more aspects that you can customize. Mana Awakening is a sort of seasonal thing. It's literally a seasonal board. Okay, this maybe changes every 3 months or something. Where you can earn experience for the mana experience, mana level, and you can spend it on a different tree here, or even go and cross between trees, to make a unique build even further, okay? So each tree here has a different ultimate that you unlock at the bottom. This unlocks this T button here that I have. I've decided to go to the right tree, and that unlocked an ultimate that does a huge stun and a big AoE around me, okay? And even while I'm using it and casting it, I have crowd control immunity, alright? This actually charges up using a different alt mana source called Numen, and you earn that through combat and through various other means, depending on some of the other choices you make on this tree, okay? For example, I actually have a key imprint here that I put mana experience into that recharges Numen just while I'm in battle passively, 1% every second. So I get to use my ult a little bit more often because of that, and I've chosen that on purpose. And you can level these up. There's tons of different things here. You can choose up to 5 imprints to level up. You can choose 1 Transcendent imprint, which is an extremely powerful bonus. I chose one here that decreases my stamina consumption when I use evade. So when I evade different skills and try to dodge, I can do it more often because I don't use as much stamina. And I like that a lot for both PvE and PvP. But I chose that on this Mana Awakening page, right? I don't know what else to call it. And you can kind of progress through here and get really cool things, and at the very end you can really specialize with different skills and do very unique things. But this changes seasonally, so next season, whatever, you know, changes they make during the season, this board sort of resets. You can level it up a different way, you can really do some research and go a different path and get extra bonuses in between the paths, or focus more on these imprints first and then go towards the path, which is what I did, because I like these imprints quite a bit. So I kind of rushed those and then started working my way up the tree, which I still don't, I might not even do this way. I can always reset it. Using a scroll, I can buy for 50k gold, which you just get in game, and then just do it over again. So you are encouraged to really mess around with this, because you can make changes for pretty cheap, I'd say. But you're also encouraged to mess around with Runestones, you're encouraged to mess around with skills, you're encouraged to mess around with gear. All of this is very, very important, because it defines the way that you play your character. What are you good for, right? How do you play? What are you doing with your build? Are you PvE focused, PvP focused, or are you doing something that helps benefit both? Do you have certain builds as presets for different things? Okay, you can actually unlock presets just through gold, not through any pay-to-win sort of currency like rubies. You just use your in-game currency to unlock a new preset, right? And then you can have a preset for whatever you're doing. So I have one for PvE, PvP, big PvP like big open world PvP, world bosses where I just need to focus on DPS and nothing else. I'm not even worried about you know, other players or anything. And so I have all these kind of ready for different situations, and I can unlock more as I need them, right? There's also recommended presets here. You can just click these. I've actually never clicked one of these before, so I'm kind of curious what this is going to... Oh, okay, so these are presets that it just... At certain levels, you can kind of press these, and it gives you a build at the bottom of your screen. Oh, this is a fire build, actually. And you can kind of mess around with it and just test, right? It gives you these... You can try them out and see how that feels, right? But I haven't looked at those at all. I love to do my own research on skills and make my own build that I enjoy personally, okay? So this is... That's like... It's not even everything, honestly. Runestones themselves can have unique kind of abilities. For example, I mentioned one earlier that gives you skill points. That's one you get at the start of the game for free. There's another one here that actually gives you vitality. You earn this one as well for free. But at the moment, at the start of combat, you actually gain 100% critical hit rate for just a second, and you can use that as an advantage in combat. I found some more that I'm not a big fan of. But you can always level them up and make them better. This one here, every time you kill an enemy, you get +3 attack for 10 seconds, which can stack up to 15 times. Good for AoE farming, for sure. This one here gives you vitality, but upon dealing a critical hit, lightning bolts go towards the target and do extra damage with a cooldown of 3 seconds. So, I mean, this gets procced all the time, and you can keep upgrading it as well. These are certain runestones you can literally slot into your board if you want to use them. And you can get more through different means, okay? You can get more gear through different means, you can get more runestones through different means, you can get more everything through different means. including unlocking the blue and the purple skills here. See, I have a lot of purple skills locked because I have to get items to unlock those. Those are the most, they're like the most powerful versions of these skills, right? These ones are a little bit tougher to unlock. The blue ones you unlock pretty much through gold or doing some quests. Yeah, okay. So, but we're not done. Like, there's so much build customization that I would even say that, I mean, this is all, first of all, based off of what class you choose, right? So I've chosen Elementalist. Elementalist has a default move. Every class's default move with your tab key. The Elementalist can teleport back and forth. So I can actually teleport to a place, and then I have 5 seconds to teleport back to where I originated from, if I choose to. Actually, I think it's 10 seconds. I believe it might be 10 seconds. But anyways, my point is that you have a short time to go back to where you were. This is nice because it's like an additional dodge, and I've been having a lot of fun with that in PvP. Other classes have different skills. Assassin can cloak or go invisible for a little bit, and when they get out of cloak, I guess they stun, or there's a thing that you can do there with your tab key. Warlords, with their tab key, they can put down a shield, like an AoE shield, that protects allies from any kind of crowd control, increases defense for that duration, and they can use this in, of course, PvP or PvE, depending on the situation. So that's just their passive tab ability for the class, and every class has their own, okay? And every class has their own set of skills, and the variants from those skills, different sort of builds you can do with them. There's a lot of customization with how you're playing and what you're doing in each specific situation. And I would say that there's really no wrong way to play, but I don't know, because I have not played every class, and I think people are still kind of figuring out the meta and learning things, and the meta might be changing all the time, okay? Because people are just learning the game and messing around and finding really cool things that you can do, and even between different classes sometimes you can work off of somebody else's classes or the debuffs that they're using in order to make your class more powerful and kind of, you know, crowd control based off of what another player is doing. For example, a Mystic can actually cause freeze, and if a player causes freeze, I can cause a crowd control based off of those characters or those enemies being frozen. So I can work off of them doing that. Or maybe my burning that I can cause through embers or through clouds of fire can do something for another class. I don't know. I haven't researched enough into every class to know how combos work between classes, but you can work together with players very efficiently to lock down things in PvE, to coordinate well, and in PvP, of course, you want to coordinate certain targets, or you want to try to keep people disabled, or you know, keep your allies alive in certain ways by keeping them maybe within that Warlord tab ability circle at certain times as well. A big one that I like to say is that Slayer is a tough class right now to fight against because they do lots of burst damage. Well, there's many ways to just sit and take the burst damage and be fine. Pretty much, you're letting the Slayer use everything off their cooldown while you take very minimal damage, even though you make crowd controlled or not. The Slayer's done, now it's your turn, you turn around and you kill them, okay? For example, my ability here that I've chosen, this one, the Icy Prison, is that what it's called? Icy Prison, yes. It actually gives me 50% reduced damage incoming while I'm inside of it. So I can just sit here for a little bit inside of my prison, take the damage, let them do whatever they want, it's fine. It's no big deal. I'll take significantly less damage, and then I pop out and do whatever I want, because now their skills have some cooldown on them, and I can take advantage of that, right? So there are a lot of gameplay choices you can make there. Or I can, you know, use this thing to give me invincibility through a burst, so that I'm invincible through whatever, you know, any class is trying to use as a burst. There are ways to break invincibility with a class, so if somebody notices that I'm doing that, they can actually stop the invincibility early. So yeah, there's gameplay choices in both PvE and PvP for exactly what you want to do, but keeping in mind what your opponent is doing is extremely, extremely important, okay? Because you have to be like, oh, shoot, that character is invincible. I don't have anything I can do about it. I will step back for a moment. Or, oh, shoot, that character is invincible. I can break that. I have an ability ready, off cooldown, to stop that from happening or to cancel it, okay? And you can actively choose to do it. So, honestly, that's part of the main reason why I like the game so much, is because the actual, the sort of gameplay follow-through with the different builds, and just the gameplay that occurs in both PvE and PvP is always unique. Like, there's always new things that you're learning and trying to figure out, because you're learning about different classes that other players are using. You're learning about buffs and debuffs that are going on and how to take advantage of them, or how to step back and be okay with just taking a few seconds out of combat to step back and get away from people or escape. A lot of people try to dive in crazy and then complain when they die a lot, but they're not really looking at the bigger picture of what's actually going on around them. The combat awareness is extremely important, which again is something I admired a lot in Arcage, but people didn't really think about too much. But in this game, it's the same thing. People don't think about it too much. But it is very important to have combat awareness and see exactly what's going on at all times, right? So yeah, so this kind of goes over a little bit of the basic mechanics. Hey Gwen, I see you in chat. Basic mechanics of the game. I even want to point out something simple, okay? Where every 5 seconds I can click or use any ability. You see this green thing coming out of me. That's because I have a, go to this one. I have a skill rune attribute. This one, this first one, which gives AoE healing to all allies, including myself, every 5 seconds whenever I use a skill, within 10 meters. Pretty cool. It's a little tiny bit of healing, but you know what this is really good for? Not just passive healing occasionally, but if I'm in combat, or no, if I'm PvE farming, I should say, and I don't want to use a potion between, you know, one mob set or another, I can just sit here and every 5 seconds give myself a little bit of healing passively just by using any ability. And it's just a faster way to get your health back, which is pretty clever, and a nice little clever way to do it, just from the investment of literally 1 runestone that gives 3 green points, gives me that, which is pretty nice, right? So, and that, you know, just saves time and everything, or saves currency that I don't have to spend to buy potions, right? So I think this pretty much goes over build customization quite a bit. God, there's so much stuff. I mean, to be honest, as well as like the way that you can upgrade equipment, how you unlock more rune slots. There's a lot to it. You're not meant to be playing this game for 1 week and stop. Okay, that's why this closed beta isn't the best way to demonstrate progression, because you know, nobody's going to get to level 50, which is really where things kind of start capping off, I would say. So, you know, it's in the reality of things, it would probably take a week or 2, and then you'd get to the real end game where everybody's kind of leveling off, and it matters, you know, level difference in PvP matters significantly less than, but it's a lot more about what gear you have and what kind of gameplay your build is based around, okay? And yesterday, I defeated one of literally the top player on the gear leaderboard, even though I was nowhere near them, just through my own willpower alone. You know, like, just from me understanding what their class does versus what my class does, how I can dodge what they're doing. I'm watching their skills, and I understand their cooldowns. I know what they're about to do before they do it. And I was able to defeat a player that way because the combat awareness is significantly better. For me, anyways. I can understand things and sort of work off of that. And it's a lot of fun. I freaking love that. Not every player is going to be as, you know, as perceptive about things, but that's okay, right? That's something that you can learn over time and get better at. What else do I want to show off? So yeah, so gear progression, it's a thing that you'll get over time. That's as much as I'm going to say for that. There's a little bit of RNG to it as well. There's ways that you can sort of make up for mistakes, and there's ways you can get catch-up gear, which is really, really good. In fact, I'm actually using some of that catch-up gear right now, because that catch-up gear, which might not give too good stats, gives me a significant health max HP boost, which has been extremely helpful in both PvE and PvP. And then later on, I'll replace this with actual gear that I care more about. But for now, in the early game, I've been using this stuff, which is reforged gear you can get from crumpling down other gear, and getting this reforged gear, which you can't upgrade at all. It's really temporary stuff. You can't sell it. It's just junk after you're done using it. But I'm using it in the early game, and I like that a lot, because I got lucky with some good gear for that. But, you know, there's still a lot of RNG with the different progression systems. It's something that you are meant to get over time. It's not something you're meant to get in a day, okay? And even if you're paying money through the Ruby shop, there's really no ways to speed up that process of getting the gear that you want. It is really just RNG based. Some people are going to get it faster than others, and you might say, well, that means that other people are going to progress to a point where they can do endgame content before you. And in some games, that makes a big snowball effect. But in Elyon, not really. Because the endgame content is really just more about, you know, working with teammates and having fun and doing stuff and doing PvP than it is to get some of the gear. Because the endgame gear that you get from world bosses is not always best in slot. In fact, I don't think any of them are best in slot from what I understand. At least from what people are telling me. That most of the best in slot gear is stuff that you earn on your own that's either bound to you or harder to obtain, and you're mostly fighting for that gear. So it's not, you know, snowballing effects in some games suck because it means that one guild might be able to own content, and it's impossible to catch up to them, right? Because you don't have the gear to even fight them, and they just keep skyrocketing in gear. But in Elyon, it's significantly more positive PvP gameplay. You do whatever you want, whenever you want. You progress in your own pace, and you just enjoy a really good combat system that really encourages you to make a build on your own, just based on how you want to play, right? And you learn from your mistakes, and you learn from the mistakes of others, and you get better at the PvP aspects, which this game has a lot of. It is open world, and a lot of the places you're encouraged to go are in places you're going to meet the other faction. Okay, there's two factions in the game. You choose one at the beginning when you create your character, and then you work with those players to do things, right? Even killing world bosses is something that you are fighting against, you know, against the other faction over a world boss in many cases. And it's just fun. It's just an enjoyable sort of experience you can do whenever you want. Okay, CBT1 was really nice because there were tons of people all over the place, and so there was always conflict occurring in these conflict regions. There were always people fighting back and forth, non-stop. And I want to see that again on release too, where just if you're bored or you just want to go PvP for a little bit, you just run over there and you just go fight people. And there's always a sort of like little mini game sort of here, where you're kind of capturing strongholds and pushing forward, just 24/7, whenever you want, which I find awesome. That's really, really good. That's just something that exists in Elyon. You could just always go on PvP, and I hope that on release people do that. Just, you know, that's how that works. And there's a lot of progression as well with the PvP here. If you keep fighting and your faction's winning, then the opponent faction's NPCs will get stronger, and then eventually conflict grows, and so on. So there's little mechanics that happen with PvP. Again, 24/7. Okay, here's a world boss that's up. Somebody can go there and try to kill it, but it's right in the middle of these two fortresses, so it isn't a big PvP area. In fact, all of these world bosses kind of spawn in PvP areas that you can go and fight over, right? So you can fight over the world bosses, you can fight over mob kills. Kaleida is very much convinced, my friend is very much convinced, and I agree actually, that killing guards is really, really good experience. It might not give you any good loot, but to just level up, kill guards, it's so good. But you're also sitting in a PvP conflict zone, which means other people are going to come by and try to kill you too. And that's fun, that's enjoyable, right? You can get this kind of conflict whenever you want. So, gameplay-wise, you are encouraged to get up to like level 50, and then that's kind of the end game after that. You are, you know, you're working on gear and your sort of, you know, Runestones and your builds after that. But for a very short closed beta, the most we can test really is progression at the early game, and is it fun? And do things work, okay? And for the early game, I can tell you that yes, progression is extremely fast, okay? It's akin to Arcade, where you just, here's the end game, really, really fast. Within 2 days, bam, you're level 40, okay? And it's doing that on purpose. It wants you to get to that end game where you can just experience whatever. Do the storyline, get to the end game, kicks you out the door and says, all right, do whatever you want, right? But this game is a little bit slower in that, and you'll notice it as you play because it does take the time to explain every system. So as you go through the story, you'll kind of go and do something off to the side here, maybe as a part of the story or not, that's like, hey, here's how enchantment works, here's how enhancement works, here's how this stuff works. Go ahead and try it out. We'll give you some materials for free when you do it. Bless you. Bless you. Here's... Yep, I was waiting for that. Bless you. And so the story is giving you the progression as you go, right? And then you get to like level 15, you're doing doing whatever you want, right? But it is literally a tutorial between level 0 and level 1 and level 45. All of it is a tutorial because you'll speed run it. You'll do it really, really fast. Okay, and again, I read more Reddit posts that are like, wow, I hate that. I can't believe you get out of the tutorial and you're already level 20. I don't know what to say. It's not the same game as World of Warcraft or New World where you spend weeks to get to the end game, okay? That's not what this is. This is a game where you literally, tutorial, end game, done. Do whatever you want, okay? Kill world bosses, do crafting, go exploring in the skies on airships, go PvP nonstop, do dungeons, do personal solo dungeons that are all challenges that change frequently, do all the arenas that change frequently as well, and so on. Just do whatever you want, right? It's on you. And so a lot of that freedom is not normal, right? And in Arcade, it wasn't normal either. So people would always be like, well, what are you supposed to do, right? What do you do as a solo player? Well, okay, in this game it's a little bit more direct than it was in Arcade. There's tons of stuff you can do as a solo player to challenge yourself in different ways and get rewards for it, and to do better than you did in a previous attempt at something. There's lots of different progression you can do as a solo player, just on your own time, even when all your friends are asleep or AFK, or it's way too early in the morning and nobody wants to show up for anything, which is fine. But you are encouraged to do stuff because there's a lot of things, right? But again, you get to the end game first, right? Maybe like 50 or whatever, and even still throughout this whole process, you're doing things on your own, and then you're free to do whatever. Okay, you experience this freedom during gameplay too, during this tutorial aspect, which again is not very common for people. People usually want guidance. Where do I go? What am I supposed to do, right? How am I supposed to level? And then if you don't get those answers, you just go to a different game that will tell you those answers, okay? But please, don't underestimate games that give you freedom, okay? Because it's not something that you're going to experience too much, unfortunately, in a lot of the MMOs these days. You are very much directed in most MMOs to the point where you feel like a robot sometimes. Don't be a robot, okay? Just play the game however you want. Learn. I see somebody here has a cool blue horse, okay? Well, I'm going to figure out a way to get it because it's cool and I want one, okay? Or I see somebody in PvP who's using a crazy ability. I'm going to find out what they just used. I will do the research, I will see what they used, I will find out, and I will learn how to counter it, or what to expect when they're about to do it. I'm going to look at the animation of that character, and I'm going to recognize that that's the animation that they're doing for that ability, and I know what to do, okay? And a good example is right now there's a class called Slayer that's new to this testing period, and they have an ability that actually spawns two versions of themselves, two clones that literally use the same abilities. And you're going to be like, that's OP. And it is, it's crazy, okay? It's very hard to fight that. So you just don't. So what do I do when that happens and I see my opponent has their two clones out? I run. I use all of my stamina to dodge completely out of it. I let those clones disappear, and I'm fine. My stuff is off cooldown then. I've taken less damage, their thing is on cooldown, and they probably used other cooldowns to try to catch up to me, and I can turn around and then fight back, okay? And that's worked every single time. Yes, running away is a strategy sometimes. That's okay, okay? But my point is that the freedom to the game is extremely important. Use that to your advantage, and have fun in very, very unique ways, okay? I spent this morning on an airship, just going from island to island in the sky, collecting sky crystals, and I use those. Eventually, I want to use those to create gliders. Okay, and I don't exactly understand the system very well. I'm still learning about it, but that's a thing you can do. Okay, and I actually enjoyed it. It was pretty fun, just going from island to island, killing off mobs that were kind of annoying to me and trying to stop me, or having to run away at low health because those mobs are too powerful and I'm just there to steal a crystal. It's fine, it's cool, it's just a thing you can do, okay? So, that's the basic gameplay mechanics, okay? And I will also say that it's very action combat, okay? If you've played Blade and Soul, you know what I'm talking about. When you get stunned, you have a CC lock break that works for almost anything, and it's on like a 20-second cooldown. You can choose when to use it, okay? And a lot of people will smash that button the moment that it comes up on their screen without thinking. But if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're just hanging out on Twitch, take a moment before you press that button, alright? Because sometimes you may want to press it a little later. And I've noticed that, again, I'll use Slayer as an example. Slayer has a combo set where they go from one CC to the next in a linear sort of fashion, okay? That's a type of build that they have. And I see it a lot, so what do? Well, I'll wait till like the third one. Yeah, they'll do some damage to me. But then I'll press spacebar. I'm not going to do it right at the very first one. I'm going to do it at the third one, because it puts some more... Oh, one of the world bosses just died. It puts some more... Put some more things that they have on cooldown, and they can't follow through with their full routine, which means I can then break out and do whatever I want, and they're kind of like, how do I get back into a position where I'm at the advantage again, right? So that spacebar, the spacebar is the ability to kind of break anything. Use it, again, to your advantage. Time it right. Time it when you think that you actually need to use it. So if somebody just CCs you for 2 seconds and runs away, don't press spacebar, unless you want to try to catch up to them early. Don't press spacebar, just let the 2 seconds go by, right? There's nothing dangerous happening. You can use that CC break at a later time when you need to, okay? So yeah, that kind of timing is important. It's the same thing in other games that are also action combat, like Blade and Soul, okay? So, I think that goes over build customizations and freedom and progression a little bit. A little bit, okay? The progression is fast, okay? In 2 days, you get to level 40, which is good enough to do anything you want. And that's going to scare people because this, Elyon is releasing where you can pay $100 and get access to the game 3 days early. Okay, it's really 2 days early because anybody that pre-ordered at all is going to have a 24-hour advantage. So, right, 2 days early in reality, okay? And so that means that people who are just, on the regular package and playing 2 days after these other players, you're going to see people who are level 40. When you start playing, you're going to see people that are level 40 already and running around, maybe even higher if they've just, really sped run XP or somehow, whatever. And you're going to be like, damn, how do I compete with those players? Elyon was built, it feels like it was built keeping in mind that players will be coming to this game 1 year later, okay? So someone who's playing 1 year after release is going to be fine. They're going to progress quickly, they're going to catch up. So don't worry if you don't have the, the 2 or 3 day advantage, or even if you start the game late, okay? It's fine. And again, you might be like, well, you can snowball XP. It's not a thing. I can't find any aspect of snowballing. The progression that you get in the game just is your own, okay? And yes, it means it's going to be harder to queue for arenas on day 1 if you've just started a week late, because you're going to be fighting players who have better gear. And maybe there is some matchmaking to arena based on gear, I don't know that stuff, okay? It doesn't really tell you very much. Maybe there is. If there isn't, there needs to be, okay? So if anybody from the dev team or publishers are watching, we need some kind of matchmaking if it doesn't exist, based on what gear you have when you queue up, and then you maybe shouldn't be able to change gear in the entire process, right? So that you know that people are sticking with the gear, but whatever. There's ways to get around that. You can use a crazy weapon and crap other gear, and people will take advantage of it, right? I get that. But regardless, my point is that matchmaking is important, okay? Second is that, again, starting late isn't that big of a deal. The game is designed for that. And honestly, if a game isn't designed for that, it's not a good MMO. If a game is designed so that everybody's playing day 1 and you keep having fresh starts every few months, because that's just what they do, right? That's not good design, because you are not keeping in mind that players can start 1 year later and still you want to give that player just as much fun as people who've been playing for that year, okay? And Elyon does that. It throws you into things. You can kind of do whatever you want, of course with the freedom, right? But you can participate in things and have fun, regardless of your level, and regardless of your gear, too. In fact, every weekend we have Realm versus Realm, which is faction versus faction, essentially. It's the big war that happens in each of these locations, and it's like 150 versus 150 players, and you might be at low gear score thinking, oh, I don't want to participate in that. But hold on, you can, okay? You can. Small guy who just started, okay? You can go there. And you can earn points for your faction still by killing NPCs, by piloting mech suits and having just as much power, in fact, way more power than most people. Those mech suits are insane, but you have to own factories during these kind of gameplays to have them generated. You can go and pilot those things as a low gear player and go and kill people and participate really, really meaningfully. Or you can, there's like howitzers and artillery guns that just spawn and are littered over the battlefield. You can go and grab one of those and just one-shot people with them just by launching them in that direction that it points, right, as far as you want, and then you let go of the button and you hope that you hit something. You can still participate meaningfully, okay? And that's really cool because it does mean that players can come in at any stage and do something even during the moments that really, really matter, right? Like the Realm versus Realm thing, which is just a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyable experience. It's a really crazy, hectic moment when it's 150 versus 150, and I love it. Really, really fun during CBT1 when that thing was capped the very first time, and it was insane. And I hope, again, we get those kind of things on Elyon release, right? So the game is built for giving people enjoyment that are coming in later. So I know that some people are like, oh, that sucks, it's pay to win that people can play early, but keep in mind, if there's no snowballing, if there's no crazy endgame things that are, like, super crazy, does it matter if people have more gear? And if the answer is yes, ask yourself why, right? What are you trying to achieve? So if you're trying to go into arenas on day one, and you can't because there's always people who are higher level with higher gear, yes, that sucks. But probably neither of you are level 50. Or if you're not level 50, then you're still getting to the point where you are actually there at a competitive place, and it'll probably take you a week to get there, honestly. It's maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, to get to the point where you can go and compete, but the entire process of getting to 50 is also enjoyable. You can go and even still do PvP content, and it's fine. Or you can go and fight in the low-level PvP zones with other people who are also low-level, and just fight over and kill guards for XP, or just fight back and forth for fun, or so on. It's the lowest level area down here, so you'll see a lot of new players there. A higher level player can go there and just feel like he's cool and kill people, but it doesn't make any sense to do it. It's totally boring, but if that person wants to, they can, right? Because, again, it is an open-world game. And people can grief that way. But you can always just leave or switch channels to a different channel and fight there instead. Or just go and do something else, because there is still tons of stuff to do on your faction's territory locations, okay? There's even, actually, now that I've looked at this, there's even quests that take you into the enemy faction's territory to kill their mobs. And they can choose to attack you whenever they want in their areas. You can't aggress on them unless they've already flagged up, because it's their peace zones. But most of the combat happens here, most of the whole game happens in this area when it comes to conflict and PvP, right? In this sort of borderline between the two factions, up here being the Terry faction, and down here being the Vulcan faction. Vulcan's blue, Terry's red. We've been calling them red team, blue team all the time. Okay, so. Yeah. So, alright. So I hope that goes over things a bit better from a progression standpoint. I'm trying to think if I'm sure there's a lot more things I'd want to mention. I'll probably look back at this video and be like, I wish I mentioned this thing. It's fine, okay? Again, you kind of start making your choices and thoughts based off of sort of the knowledge of what's happening. I have to drink my tea as well. Okay. So let's go into currencies then a little bit. There's a lot of them. They're not stuck in your inventory, though. You have a little currency token thing here, and there's different shops you can get stuff. Pioneer tokens you can earn a couple of ways. The main way is through some world bosses, but mainly through mini-games that happen all the time randomly. You can just pop in whenever you want. Mini-games will literally just pop up on the right side of your screen and say, hey, here are the mini-games happening, and then you can just join it and be a part of the mini-game and then get teleported back to where you're going. That gives you Pioneer tokens. Tokens of honor through PvP and through arenas. Housing tokens is through crafting and housing. Laurel Wreath pieces is through clan missions, as well as through the premium currency. You get some of this currency just by having premium, okay? And then there's decoration tokens you can use to customize your gear and make it look different colors or different effects or different textures and so on, okay? Yes, you can customize things in this game like crazy, but I'm not focusing on that here, okay? I'm focusing on other stuff. And there's also rubies, which you buy for real money. They gave us a whole bunch during this period of testing. They gave us tons of these rubies to mess around with. I think in total they gave us like $200 worth of rubies, and I used that to get different things to test with or mess around with, like pets or Luminous and so on. We'll get to that. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. Another way you can customize your character is through pets and Luminous. It's not even, man, it just never ends, does it? So pets and Luminous is another thing you can do. Okay, you can kind of get these over time. And a lot of players are like, well, you just buy these. And it's true. But you can get these through other means, actually quite commonly, too. Pets are kind of, okay, these are more fun, honestly. Throughout the different skills that you can get through a high-level pet, they're mostly just convenience and fun, okay? Small little discounts on shop purchases, so you don't have to use gold as much, okay. Auto-collectible forge items, okay. All of the pets auto-collect for you. So if there's loot on the ground, they will run over to it and pick it up. So that's really the best thing. You can have a level 1 pet that does that. Luminous is the system that everybody's like, wait, there's stats involved here. And yes, there are. And yes, this is the more controversial thing, okay? That people can get really high-level Luminouses that give way more stats, way more points towards rune attributes, which is this skill, this system. So you can get, you can use one Luminous at a time that gives you X amount of points towards one of these colors. I have a yellow one that gives me 4 points, which helps me get the level 33 ability here that I wanted quicker, right? And yes, this is the controversial system, this Luminous system, but it is still something that can help define your build. Oops. It can still help define your build. And it's something that you earn over time regardless. The way you earn it in-game normally is mainly, at least currently through the closed beta, is through these Victorious Medals of Honor, which you can earn through the arenas, through clan wars, and also by your clan completing missions, just by playing the game and doing stuff. You can earn these Victorious Medals of Honor. Okay, you use just 3 of them to get 1 random level 1 Luminous. You can get 7 of those a week, okay? And I think in total I probably used maybe 10 to get my level 3 Luminous. But the Luminous system in NAEU is much better than it is in Korea. It's significantly less RNG unless you choose it to be. But you really are just leveling up a specific Luminous up as far as you want. And then you just have those stats. Like it's a really good system for NAEU, okay, to level these up and to progress with it. But you can get 7 of these a week, okay? They might add something to loyalty about getting more Luminous, but currently there's nothing there, so I'm not even going to talk about that in regards to Luminous. And we're not getting the kind of ridiculous system of the constellation tree that Korea has. That's hard to explain, but we're not getting the system that people didn't like, okay? And I hope that we never do. Will that change? Who knows? I hope we don't get it. I hope we get more functional systems that allow people to progress, that allow people to catch up faster, but doesn't move people at the end game further away from those who are just starting, okay? I hope that the end game essentially is progressed based on fun stuff and not just, let's keep adding power to the end game players, let's keep adding more power through new items, right? So we'll see what ends up happening, because that system essentially did that. It took the end game players and made them even more powerful, which just makes it harder to catch up to, right? So that's generally the Luminous system and how this works. Different colors are just different rune attribute types. This one's support, so green. This one is fate, so yellow. I ended up getting one that was fate. I got it to level 3, which gives me 4 points, which is all that I needed at the time. And I went for a type dragon that gives me PvP stuff. So this actually increases my PvP damage output and decreases incoming critical hit damage by 6%. That's nice. Okay, it's just nice to have it. So I was happier with this one. And I focus on PvP stuff, so this makes more sense to me. There's probably other ones I could have gotten instead, but whatever, it's fine. oh god, this one's really good. Acceleration. Ah, damn, that makes my cast speed a bit faster. Okay, whatever. I wish I didn't click that. So anyways, my point is that you can use the system as well to kind of help progression and get the rune attribute points you want a bit quicker. Okay. And then yeah, pets are just mostly for fun, so nothing super crazy there. But yes, you can buy them for ruby as well. Okay, so I think that covers those topics pretty well. Is there anything else I want to talk about there? There's daily stuff to talk about too. You can do things daily at your own discretion. You can run up to 4 dungeons a day, specific dungeons that actually like are part of. This is a bit harder. So there's different types of dungeons. Transcendent dungeons don't count for this 4 reward a day cap. Transcendent dungeons are something different. You have to use a different currency to get in. But normal dungeons, you have to, the reward that you get counts against your 4 that you can get per day, resets daily at UTC midnight, and it's up to you whether you want to do them. I actually haven't been running dungeons at all, period. Okay, I did not do dungeons this beta because I did them the first beta, and I was okay with that, and I don't really need this gear, because this dungeon gear, while it's really, really nice, I am a little bit avoiding right now because I ended up getting some reforged gear that I'm happy with, and I ended up getting PvP gear that I'm happy with, and I found these gloves, and I found this staff, and I'm happy with that. So I'm not running dungeons, really. And who knows how the actual live game will go. I'll probably run dungeons because I can, but I'm not stressed about having to do everything. Because again, you progress at your own pace. You get to the end game when you want to, and it's fine. It's not that big of a deal, okay? It just isn't. You have to enjoy a video game sometimes, and this game lets you. Elyon lets you enjoy it without feeling like you have to do everything every single day, or else you will fall behind. But in this game, once everybody's behind until they're level 50, and then at that point, whatever, right? It's fine. Some people at that point will have crazy legendary plus 10 gear, and it sucks to fight those people because you're probably going to lose. Okay, we don't get to experience that in the closed beta. We get to experience a version of it where people are a little bit higher level with better gear, and it's like it feels impossible to kill them unless you really know their class and understand the gameplay a lot, right? But it can happen in the end game, right? Where you're up against a player who has tons more gear, and it's just going to happen. But it's not the end of the world, because you can go and do other things if they're kind of trying to group you or something. Again, you can go into instance dungeons and keep progressing that way. You can go and run your quests. You get 20 quest letters a day, which are used for daily quests, which you can kind of do wherever you want. In fact, I noticed that these blue daily quests, here's a region with a higher level, here's a region with a lower level, this one, and this one. And we ended up doing quests in all 3 of these regions. You might say, well, these ones give you less XP, right? Why would you do these ones? They actually give very similar XP. You really get to choose where you do your blue quests, where you get to use your quest letters, which are kind of nice. That's not true in every case, but in some cases it's mostly true. So we kind of picked different places. Do we want to farm up here in our safer zone? Do we want to farm down here in the PvP zone? It's kind of nice, actually, to have that choice. But you get 20 per day, so you're kind of encouraged to use them. And if you don't, fine. I used all my 20 quest letters yesterday, and I might run them today. Okay? Because I get my 20 back after reset. So I can now do a bunch of quests today if I wanted to, but I don't really care. And it's a closed beta. Maybe during release I'll care more about it, right? And there's also dimensional portals. Like, there's so many things to do. But there's these dimensional portals as well, which are locations you can go to for a small entrance fee, and there's like little mini games that occur in them. There's PvP that occurs in them. You can get special rewards out of them if you complete quests, or if you complete like kill bosses and stuff, and you progress in these over time. Okay, this is a lot to explain, but there's weekly portals which are available for 10 hours every week. So up to 10 hours you can be in these portals every week, doing whatever you want. And each day you can choose these, and you can spend 1 hour total between all these places each day, okay? And you can just get little progression items here and there. You can get really cool, good accessories and stuff. You can get, like, enhancement stones to help progress your gear up and so on. There's a lot of things here, okay? It's hard to kind of go over these systems, but it exists, and you can just choose to do this, right? These are actually open certain times of the day, but generally, you know, you're kind of free to just do whatever you want and progress however you want. So if you can't do one thing, or you feel like you're blocked because there's people who are fighting you and they're too high level, go do something else. Go with friends and do something else, or go run something, or go into the sky and do the airship content. You know, just go kill stuff up there with your friends if you want, or find crafting materials like I was, or something. You know, there's paths you can take that are not just butting your head up against a wall where you're constantly fighting people you can't kill, okay? Because that's the real competitive thing, right? That's the real reason people want to be ahead, is so that they never, ever have to face people who are significantly stronger than them, that they have no way to beat. But in this game, you're not forced to always fight those people. You can go do other things in the meantime, okay? And I think that's a pretty important sort of... It's an important thing to point out, okay? Man, there's so much topics. There's so many things in this game. There really are. And just between all the different UI aspects, I'm just clicking through each one now. Upgrading Runestones as well. Your skills, the map. Okay, what else do we have here? The Ruby shop, we'll get into that. The crafting section. I'm not super crazy on crafting. I feel like there could be a little bit more here. But crafting endgame gear is pretty good. You can go and sell this gear if you want. You can craft it just to sell to other people to make gold off of and use that to progress your own gear. There's the guild system. There's rune attributes, which is... again, we talked about this with progression passives, picking your own sort of path to how you want to make your build, right? There's a lot of things in this game. It doesn't end. You'll keep constantly discovering more and more and more and more stuff to do or to experience. There's weekend clan wars, which are 10 versus 10 battlefields with little objectives to accomplish as you try to capture different points. So little tiny battles happen all over the field, and I think that was awesome. I experienced that this weekend. It was really, really cool. Much different system from Clan Wars than what I was expecting. It was a lot of fun. It never ends. There's so many different things. Another thing to point out is that a lot of this stuff changes. So the dungeons that are active each day change, and these are not even dungeons we had during the last period, except for maybe this one. So and this one too. They're clearly changing up these dungeons too. Like, we had a 3-player dungeon in the last beta period. Now we don't. So they might even give us different dungeons all the time. You know, access to 3-person dungeon or so on. I don't know. The arenas also change. So these battlefields change between maybe seasons or something. So like last beta period, we had a battlefield that was 3v3, where you had to kill NPCs, take mech parts, and use that to summon a mech that's pilotable by a player. And the goal of the game is to destroy the enemy team's base, just by doing more damage to it than what you took during, the battlefield period. That was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It's not in this period. I wish that it was. But they changed things around. Now we have like a sort of battle royale style, where it's like a free-for-all with 6 players, I guess. It's not a battle royale. Unless there's like, maybe you can pick up buffs around, I don't know. This one is one that you have to pick up buffs around. It's a 3v3 where you can actually get buffs around the whole map. And you can even hide in bushes and not get seen. You'll be invisible in them. Honors, where you're fighting the other faction. So these are just like temporary arenas that are happening currently. And they'll probably change up over time as well. To give people kind of, different styles of gameplay. I wish they didn't remove old arenas. I wish we always had access to each one, but they are trying to focus people down to certain arenas, and I get that, and that's fine. Also, we've noticed that the arenas and Clan Wars seem to be cross-server, so they're a bit more active. I don't know if dungeons work the same way. They might. I have no idea, but we've noticed it, so it's something to keep in mind, okay? And there's more things. There's like the housing system and what you want your house to look like. I'll go over... I mean, these are systems that a lot of people like and enjoy. You can customize your house however you want. You can customize the indoor stuff as well. Even the walls and the ceiling and the floor and the way that things look. It's all there. You can show off, right? There's both instanced and real-world housing, which means you can go out into the real world and buy housing somewhere up here that literally anybody can go up to and like buy stuff from your store, which is fine because it doesn't like sell it out for you. Everybody can always buy the two from anybody's housing. Or you can go and help their plants grow a bit and get rewarded for that as well. Or you can show off how cool the indoor of your house looks like. As you can see, mine is very good and very, very efficient at stopping zombie apocalypses, because if they try to break in, I just hide back there and it's not a problem. And that's, I mean, the housing system, right? And this is all kind of combined with the crafting system as well, where you're able to craft stuff from here, and you can get up your crafting levels, or master a certain level so that you're like the best person to get this kind of stuff, which you can then sell on the auction house if you want for gold. There is upgrades as well for the housing. I just leveled up my blessing altar to level 2, but now to get it again, I need to level up the house, which requires housing tokens, which housing tokens I can use on cosmetic stuff for the house or on progression for the house. I've been doing progression. Wait, can I have a second one now? Hold on. Oh, this is interesting, actually. I can. Wow, I have 2 blessing altars now. Very cool. These kind of just give me buffs, essentially. Oh, I need AP. Cannot install the same type of effect. Oh, darn, so I need a different one. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. You get my point. There's a lot of stuff here. With housing as well. But I am not super always focused on this. There's a trading system where you can take extra items you don't use for crafting and try to make some extra money off of it. With some risk. There's a system here to get extra housing tokens, which again are used for upgrades on the house or cosmetic stuff. I'll deliver these. This is fine, whatever. What are this? Oh, I'll do that one too. That's pretty good, actually, for extra gold. And now you might be saying, well, okay, isn't gold pretty important too? Aren't you just going to be able to snowball with getting gold and get so much gold that there's nothing anybody can do about it, and you can just progress all your gear? And you're not wrong, technically. But I wanted to point out that gold, so maybe this is a good next topic, right, is progression and snowballing with gold and currency. But from what I understand, and from everything that I've done with research on it in Korea, gold progression is, it's still locked by RNG progression. So yes, you use gold to buy things off the auction house. Okay, I can go there right now and I can buy gear. In fact, I can buy gear that's better than what I have, okay, if I wanted to, for maybe an expensive price, and I can try to upgrade it or something. This is true. You're not wrong. But to make that gear actually good also takes additional gold or riskiness in some way. It may take resources that you have to find. It might be RNG whether or not it actually is good. Okay, somebody made this +5 and put it up there for 30k. It's pretty good. Somebody could just get that really quick and use it for a little while. Oh wait, that's a secondary. Never mind. Nobody wants to use the secondaries in the early game because you'd rather have the one that has 6 runestone slots instead of 2. But anyways, there's another fact that a lot of the gear so this is kind of cool, actually. A lot of the gear that you get from just random world game stuff, you know, like blue gear essentially, you can break down into pieces and equipment, into materials that you need in order to upgrade your other gear. So actually, there's a market for any, at least blue piece that I know of, any blue piece or up, because I'm actually encouraged to, oh my god, that's really cheap. I'm encouraged to buy this right now. Because he put it up for so cheap, I'll just do it. It's blue. I'm encouraged to buy that, dismantle it, and get this, which is a piece that I need to upgrade my own gloves, okay? And actually, that's not true. My gloves are already purple, but anyways, the idea is that you can use this that you get from those blue pieces to upgrade the gear that you have in some way, which is actually really cool, because it does mean that anything that you get in the world from farming and loot can be sold on the auction house, and somebody might buy it, either for their own use or to just trash it, and then use it for their own materials and such, okay? I think I showed off that pretty well anyways, just now. Whether or not I needed that material doesn't really matter. Here's another one for 15k. Actually, that one I do need. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and buy that one. Is there any other shoes that are blue? Oh, 20k. Okay. I'll do it. It's fine. And so then I can break all of these down and use these for the pieces that I need in order to get my shoes from blue to purple, which gives it more more stats, and then I can upgrade it even further. So I'm going to go ahead and dismantle these two. Yes, these are enchanted. I'm fine with that. Dismantle this one. Cool. Alright, do I have enough pieces now to do what I want? Yes, actually. I can convert these 5 into the next level, which costs 10k. Now with this faint upgrade stone, I think I need 1 more. I do, and then I can take these from blue to purple. Okay? So there's progression there in gear as well. So yeah, if you have gold, you can get the gear that you want pretty quickly. There's a lot of ways to farm gold, or to again, just farming gear out in the world and then selling it on the auction house that other people might break down. Also worth it. Or even killing world bosses for blue gear that you need to break down, or killing world bosses for blue gear that you want to put on the auction house for somebody else to break down. That's a thing. You could do that. You're encouraged to do that. It's a part of the gameplay, right? So, yes, gold can help you progress, but it still is, in the end, based on RNG of using gold and using materials to get something up to +6 in the first place, or getting it up to +8 in the first place, or re-rolling this and getting it back down to +0 so you can try all over again, which is also a ton of resources just to do that, right? Yeah, so gold isn't the craziest sort of metric when it comes to like snowballing or anything, but there's always going to be people who have more gear than you. And if you want to be one of those people who is super competitive and plays all the time to try to be #1 rank, the game is very different for you. This is the same in any game, okay? If you're going to play to a competitive point where you're trying to be #1, or at least up there, that's fine. It's a different game from a normal person. The question comes in, is that person's game, whoever's trying to get up to rank 1, is their version of the game going to ruin it for the people who are not playing that game? And the answer in Elyon is no, but it's very different per game, okay? In Elyon, you might not even ever face that person. You might, but you can always do other things or go somewhere else, and it doesn't matter. So let's say you fight them in the arena, and you lose instantly. And you might be like, ah, damn, I had no chance. But guess what? You actually always gain the items that you need from the arena, even if you lose. Because in the arena, all that you care about, really, are these points, these medals that you get in order to kind of progress this battle pass-like thing. And actually, after you finish it, it just resets and goes back to the beginning. Infinite times, really. You're just getting these points. Whether you win or lose, you will get these points. And you use that for progression. So if you're losing a lot in arena, yeah, you're probably going to have to run this a bit more times, right? But you use these points. It's capped to 200. It's not per day or anything. It's just you get like, I think you get 10 every hour or something. Something like that. I don't remember what it is, actually. Anyway, so you're encouraged to kind of go in the arena and get these points whether you win or lose, okay? And then you could do any arena for that either, as well. In addition to that, you can also get first win of the day, which gives you extra victorious medals of honor, which actually it gives you 3, which is exactly what you need to get a Luminous. So just for getting a first win of the day in the arenas, you can get a Luminous box, up to 7 a week, okay? Which is pretty good, again. Very, very good for progression early on, and as well as in the end game, okay? And a pretty easy way to do it. In fact, you can get those these medals of honor as well from clan wars and other sources too, if you're participating in that stuff, or able to participate in that stuff. So, so yeah, getting these medals of honor aren't too bad. Getting Luminous isn't too bad, honestly. But yes, there will always be people who get it from the shop. They just buy up the ones they want. They have probably a grade 5 Luminous the first day. Do you want to play the same game as them? I don't know. In some other ones, you might not. But in this one, they're not really going to bother you too much anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. Let them play the game that they want. You get to play the game that you want. Elyon allows you to do that, okay? And it's not going to conflict with one another. You're not really going to butt heads too much. They're not going to ruin your gameplay, okay? It doesn't work that way. Elyon is a more fun. It's focused on fun and enjoyable situations, especially in open world PvP. And you don't even have to be in the same location as those guys if they're fighting over here on the left side of the map against one another, because you know, they're higher level. You're going to probably be fighting over here against people who are of similar level to you because you're doing your quests at the same time as those players are doing theirs, okay? And again, the game encourages people to come into the game even a year after the date because you can catch up a lot quicker and get to the end game a lot quicker than in a lot of other games where you might spend maybe months trying to catch up. In our case, it's like 2 months to get to the point where you're competitive, right? 1 or 2 months. In this game, it's probably much faster, but I don't know. I don't know because we haven't been there. We haven't seen the end game, right? We're only in closed beta testing, which is only 5 days anyways, which is not good enough. But look at that. I'm already 42, which is pretty darn close, even though obviously level requirements, XP requirements to level will go up each level, right? But I assume that in a few more days I'd get to 50. I would think so anyways. Cool. Alright, so we've talked for like an hour now. A little over an hour and 20 minutes. Just going over progression and customization and builds and what to do with the game. Currencies a little bit and snowballing, and you know, that doesn't really exist in Elyon. What to do, different kind of gameplay mechanics and such. There's a lot more that I missed in all of that stuff, but it's hard to talk about it because there's tons of things in this game. There really are. I mean, this technically speaking, this is what, a 6-year-old game or something that's coming to NAEU. It's localized very well, now anyways. CBT1, I wouldn't agree with that. I thought that closed beta test 1 had a lot of problems, but the test 2 seems to be significantly better for it, so I'm happy with that. In addition to that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ruby shop, because that's a big topic of conversation, right? Is, what's going on, right? Why is this, what's going on here? So, first of all, rubies, you can earn 1,000 rubies for $10. $10, yeah. So it's $1 is 100 rubies, okay? So keep that in mind. At least that's what it's supposed to be from what I understand. Now, we'll go through each of these tabs. We're going to start with the ones that are easy, okay? We're going to go pretty much right to left. We're going to skip this first one. So first of all, there's mounts, okay? And these mounts have speeds, okay? They have movement speed, turning speed, dashing speed, but they're very similar to the free mounts that you get. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. In terms of, you know, combat abilities there, there's not, you don't really use them in combat anyways, because you can't. You can't even mount them in combat. So generally, it's not that big of a deal, and the numbers are very similar. So I wouldn't worry too much about mounts, but they're really cool looking, right? Which is the whole point of that system. So you can have very cool looking mounts that do different things or whatever. These wingsuits are just costumes, really. In fact, there's a whole section of costume slots, which is where those glider wings will go, and anything else that you have as costumes. In fact, I think you could just equip items into there. Oh, maybe not, actually. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, there's costume slots that you can use and get things off of the Ruby shop, right? So that's here. That's what these are. Accessories, same sort of thing. It's just you put them into costume slots. You can have cool glasses. I have a nice, cute little hat, which I like, my fruit hat. You can get different idle animations, literally when you're standing still or when you're moving around. Hey, Sharon? You can have little emotions, whatever. This is all normal cosmetic things. Okay, you can have emojis. Oh, fine, whatever. Outfits, same thing. You can just look cool. Great, awesome. You can look like that. Amazing. Whatever. A lot of people criticize the costume shop, say that we need more cool things, not like that. But you know, and I don't disagree. But that's what that is. We went over pets a little bit. They're not crazy OP. They don't give you anything of value in combat or for progression really that much either. They're just things that are cute, and you can level them up, and it's kind of like a convenience thing. So I'm not super worried about pets. Luminous is what we talked about earlier. Yes, you can still get 7 a week, and that's good enough to catch up pretty quickly, and it's not that bad. There will be people who get stage 5 Luminous very quickly if this is not capped to maybe 5 buys a day or something, or 5 buys a week or something like that, which is what I would like them to do, is cap this to maybe only buying a few a day or a few a week. I don't think they're going to do it. There's going to be people who get crazy stuff. You're probably not going to... They're not going to ruin your experience of the game, because the game isn't about that. It's just about chilling and PvPing and, you know, and just enjoying... I don't know how to explain this to people. Video games are about having fun and doing cool things and being social. For people sometimes go into MMOs to just mindlessly do something for 6 hours, and if somebody stops you and it sucks, then you're going to go play something else. But in Elyon, you can do 85 different things. Don't worry about that too much. Okay? It's crazy, but what a concept, right? So you can still have fun and do a lot of things. This isn't the craziest thing to me, but it is the point of contention. This is the main thing that people are staring at and saying, pay to win. But in reality, this is pay to progress faster, okay? This is not pay to win, because anybody can get these things. It is pay to progress faster. Then you have to ask, does progression matter? In the short term, maybe. In the long term, no way, because it doesn't. It's not going to snow. There's no snowballing for equipment or whatever. The end game is just about enjoying PvP and having fun and doing shit that's interesting and showing off your house or showing off your amazing fruit hat in an hour or two long YouTube video, or just on Twitch because you really like the fruit hat. This is the only way you're going to get people to look at it. So we go to the General tab now. This has a ton of convenience items you'll notice right away. Appearance change ticket. A bag that holds more stuff. More things that hold more stuff. Okay, but from top to bottom, we're going to go down here. Character expansion slot. Okay, self-explanatory. In fact, because of the game's progression and how fast you get to the end game, this game very much encourages you to go and make more characters. In fact, I think that when you join a clan, your account joins the clan. Which means if you change characters, in literally the character roster, you can see people's account name and what character they're on. So you don't have to worry too much about clan stuff there. You kind of just switch between characters, from what I understand. I could be wrong there. Would you like that I'm waving my hands around? Okay. I do that all the time. Stop. Sinister Bear is making fun of me. There's this Craftworks chest, which is an account-wide buff that allows you to customize your character, decorate your equipment so they look different colors and stuff. You can do it to costumes even. You can literally decorate these outfits to have different colors and textures on them even. And different patterns and things. It's pretty cool. But whatever. You can do that for 30 days for free. Fine, whatever. Death XP recovery scroll. That's pretty good. You do get them in-game means as well. You can even craft these. But that's a pretty good one, right? It's making up for a mistake, so you get back some experience. This is I would say this is a pay to progress faster item, but if you don't die, then it's not a problem. So this is a thing, okay? Yeah, assuming it stays in the shop, okay? General goods vendor caller. You can bring a guy to you. You can repair your gear at them. Okay, it's not that crazy. You can buy potions from them. Actually, I think this is a 20% expense as well. This is 20% more expensive to do it this way, but I'm probably wrong about that. In fact, I'm 90% sure I'm wrong about that. But regardless, it's a convenience item. Housing upgrade ticket. It's a convenience item that makes it so you don't have to wait 1 hour or 6 hours for a housing upgrade to occur. Fine. Inventory slots, self-explanatory. Luminous slots, self-explanatory kind of. You can literally have more slots for Luminous to be here. Okay, it gives you a lot actually to start now that I look at it, but you can only summon one at a time anyways, so I don't know if anybody needs that at all. But if you're working in multiple Luminous, maybe. Mana Awakening Reset Scroll. You can get these for in-game currency pretty cheaply. The fact this is up here at all for $3 is weird, because it's very easy to get it through in-game means. They even give you some for free from the quest line. But it's a convenience item, I guess, to reset your Mana Awakening, this stuff, and what skills you've taken for the cost of money, right? For the cost of real currency. Okay. We have Pet Slot Expansion, same thing, not super crazy. Resurrection Scroll lets you resurrect yourself in place and recover the experience lost. That's an interesting item. I don't think you're even allowed to use this in PvP. Does it say that? You cannot use the scroll manually, and the effect only applies if you had the scroll in your inventory at the time of your death. I guess this is a convenience item for PvE, for the most part. I haven't thought about this too much, though. It's $1 technically. We'll talk about the Star Blessing. Storage Keeper. You can bring your house's storage to you at any point in time. Convenience, because you can always go to your house at any point in time, too. And then Storage Expansion is your house's storage, okay? So now let's talk about the big thing here. Again, 2 points of contention in this game for pay to win or pay to progress faster, which is Luminous and Star Blessing, which is essentially a premium in this game. And before everybody shouts, I just want to say really quickly, apparently if you sign up for their newsletter for Elyon through your Elyon Cacao Games account page, if you sign up for the newsletter, when the game releases, you will get 7 days of this for free, as well as the best mount in the game, in my opinion, which is this bird. Okay? And when you have this bird, you need anything else. So if you sign up to their newsletter right now through their account, when the game starts, they will give you 7 days of premium. And if you're me and you're not getting paid by Elyon to say anything, honestly speaking, I think that 7 days of premium is all you need to catch up, get to the end game, and then you'll never have to pay for premium again if you don't want to. That's what I think, honestly. And I think a lot of other games are kind of similar, is just take your 7 free days, use it, and you're good. But what does this do? Hunting experience increase, so 10% faster experience gained from killing mobs, which is the main end game way to level, right? Which again, for 7 days, first 7 days, if you have this and you farm it up, you're probably at end game then and you're fine. You don't need this anymore. Item drop rate, 10% increase. Chance of getting better items. It's a progression thing, really. Action point recovery speed. This is a crafting thing. You use action points only for gathering stuff, or for planting stuff, but I don't use it for gathering this because I already spent it for planting it. So I just picked it up for free, but to plant something there, I have to spend action points, okay? That's how this works. So here, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my gardening here for a little bit and get some rune powder. I'm not gonna do the rest because I'm lazy and you're just gonna watch those trees sit there rotting. But that gives you a little bit faster action point recovery, right? So you can gather things a bit more quickly than other players. I would, again, say it's pay to progress faster, right? It's not a pay-to-win thing. It is pay to progress faster. Inventory space, storage space, okay. Luminous max energy increase by 100%, 8 hours total. And it auto-charges daily. And you can participate in Luminous battles immediately after charging. This stuff is interesting, okay? What this is you can AFK overnight while playing, okay? And instead of a 4-hour cap on being able to AFK, you get an 8-hour cap, and that 8-hour cap resets every day, okay? It instantly becomes 8 hours. This is what you get as a premium. You can earn items while AFK, and you're sleeping, right? While you're sleeping, okay? You can earn pretty good stuff, but it's all RNG of what you earn. So I can start a battle right now. I have to leave my computer on. I can go to bed, okay? I can turn off all my monitors, and then I can go to bed, right? So this is a thing that exists, and you can get, instead of 4 hours capped, you can get 8 hours capped, and it resets every day, and you can see that this is lagging like crazy on my screen for some reason. I'm just gonna quit that. So my point is that that's another point of contention, because it's definitely a luxury, but a lot of people have found that this isn't a deal breaker for very many things. You don't get that much XP out of it. In fact, the only way you can get more XP out of it, and this is really interesting, is through the loyalty shop, which we haven't gone over yet. But this, through the loyalty shop, not rubies, this isn't going to be rubies, you can get increases for gold or XP acquisition or item acquisition. But these you can only get once a day. They're for 4 hours, which means it's good for the free-to-play players for their 4 hours of using the Luminous battles. And it just gives extra stuff. So yeah, getting the Star Blessing for the 8 hours is really just a luxury. It's just extra RNG overnight. It's okay. It's alright. And since for loyalty you can get these bonuses, not for rubies, it's okay. What loyalty is you earn it. Any player can earn loyalty, supposedly, just by playing every day. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you have pay-to-win or not pay-to-win. It doesn't matter whether you have this package for the 30 days, Star Blessing or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody's getting loyalty. You can choose what you spend it on. So this is the shop that's accessible by everybody. It will not be for rubies, supposedly. It'll be for something else. Different loyalty coin you maybe earn daily. I don't know. We'll have to see what that is. And again, they could come out with something that sucks too. We'll have to see on release, right? So that's that. And then the last one here is 15 Laurel Wreath Pieces daily, which is it's a chunk of stuff, but you get a lot more Loyal Wreath Pieces, which is this currency for extra item acquisition, Transcendent Stones for the dungeon, another dungeon key, action point recovery potions. You can get this from clan missions as well. In fact, I even think it says that here. Can be redeemed through attendance rewards, right? So if your clan is logging in every day, you can get a whole bunch of these tokens from that as well. So 15 a day from this it's pay to progress faster again. It's not like you're locked from any of this stuff. It is just pay to progress faster. And again, Does progression faster mean anything? No, not really, because again, everybody's going to be at the end game anyways, and you're not really butting heads, and it's okay. It's like I've not seen anything in the early game where it's a crazy thing. Yes, I have gone into the PvP arena and just been obliterated by somebody who's 3 levels higher than me, and I'm like, damn, that sucks. It's a good thing I still literally earn the currency that I'm looking for by doing this in the first place, right? Like, I'm literally still earning by that loss. I'm still earning the thing that I want, so I don't really care as much. It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. So that's the 30-day Star Blessing. Again, 7 of which you can get for free if you sign up for their newsletter right now, and then when the game starts and you're playing, you get 7 days of this for free. So everybody's kind of on the same page at the very beginning, which is kind of nice. So there's one other thing to talk about with progression, and this is where the snowballing bit may be important. There are rankings. You can be in the top ranking for honor points, item level, arena in each of these. I don't know what that is. Oh, this is the battlefield arenas. Wow, nobody's done this. Oh, there you go. The dungeons, even, for how long it takes for you to complete a dungeon. The treasure... Damn it! Somebody got my... How did they do that? They beat my top score. Oh, I'm really disappointed now. I was hoping that was gonna be a first place. God damn it. Anyways, you can get top ranking in each of the different treasure rooms. These are like bonus rooms. They're essentially like mini games. There's fishing as well. There's housing for just product harvesting and stuff. There's literally a... oh, look on the top there. There's literally, you know, ranking here. And there are rewards for each of these, okay? So, this is an honor point one. So here's the rank list rewards. Let's start with housing, because I was just on it. If you get season rank 1 in housing, or rank 2 to 10, or 11 to 50, you can get some gold, which again is currency, which we talked about. It is progression for RNG to get stuff, fine. And you get a random material for helping you progress as well, which is nice. And this just gives you better versions of it. Okay? That's pretty good. That gives you a random one, by the way. It doesn't give you all of those that are listed there, just one of those. So it's still RNG. And I think each of these ranking periods is 1 week. So every week people will get the stuff, and it'll, you know, the rankings will reset every week, okay? There's ranking rewards for housing, which, by the way, you also get these buff effects you can choose, like forge speed increase. Some of these can get a little bit more intense, okay? This is important to consider. So fishing, you can also get, you know, some convenience items, up to 50k gold. That's kind of nice. You have some effects here, like decrease auto fishing time, so you can go AFK and still fish stuff. Oh, nibbling cooldown is for the fishing stuff. Ah, that's what that is. You can have a pet that does that too. The treasure room, like little mini games, they have rewards as well. Same thing, a little bit of gold if you're in the top place, a random component or material for progression. And you get little cool effects like increased gold acquisition. That's pretty good, right? Or increased chance to obtain additional weapon enhancement stones when hunting. Wow. Okay, that's good. So, little bonuses, right, that you can equip on yourself. Dungeons, being the top sort of rank in a dungeon, same thing. Gold and a random material. The effects help you do more damage to bosses, which can technically keep you up there, right? This can help you in some very, very tiny minor thing, way, keep you in the higher ranks, right, to complete a dungeon. So that's something to consider. Like, you can have a whole guild where all 5 of you going into a dungeon have this on, and you can really keep your time there in that dungeon and be first place and get this every week, which is okay. Not that crazy to get this every week, though, because you get a random thing out of this. But you can do it for multiple dungeons, too, right? So there is that. That's fair. It's important to keep that in mind. Battlefield PvP, same kind of rewards. The effects are decreases PvP damage taken, that's a big one, and increases PvP attack damage. This is big. This is where you start getting into actual stats that, again, every week you have to keep earning, right? So you kind of have to keep up with it. But these are stats. They can help you in PvP. Same thing for the arenas. Each arena has its own version of this. Now, I think you can only equip one effect at a time. So even if you get multiple, like, let's say you get 3v3 top rank and 2v2 top rank, I think you can only choose one of these. I don't think you get to use both, right? So you don't get 10% decrease because you have both of them. You just get to choose one. But again, same box. Some gold and random material box. Okay, cool. Item level is a little weirder. If you're in the top ranks in item level, you're actually rewarded with token acquisition rate. I don't know what that means. I think it's just the currencies. XP reduction if you die. That's not bad. So you don't lose as much. Instead of 5%, you lose 4%. Or no. Instead of 5%, you lose 4.5% XP. Okay, fine. And that actually reduces your durability reduction, so you don't have to pay as much for repairing gear, which is kind of non-existent anyways. In CBT1, you gotta repair gear every 5 minutes. They fixed that in CBT2. Repairing is fine. This one's, again, not bad. It gives you total attack increase, PvP attack increase a little bit, and PvP damage decrease. So, like, if you have the highest item level, not only do you get 3 of these boxes for a lot of gold, 150 gold, 150k gold, and some components, but it's almost like it's keeping you in the top, right? These are still kind of minor rewards in the end game, honestly, especially after level 50, but it is important to keep this in mind. This is a thing. If you get top 10, just from that, you get 90k and a little title that decreases your XP rate, reduction rate upon death. So it's super tiny, but it exists, and it is important to keep this in mind. And then the honor point system is extremely interesting. Honor points are gained from PvP and doing arenas. If you get points, I think you retain your honor points each week, so you can keep building this up every time, from what I understand anyways. And you can get titles with your honor. The titles actually, you can equip these and you can get like PvP damage reduction from this. And everybody will progress up this ladder from what I understand as they keep playing and earning honor points and holding onto them. You can get extra honor points as well as some gold every week. And you can keep ranking up until you can buy more stuff off of the honor shop. As well as up here. Oh wow, literally Commander-in-Chief. These are the 2 top ranks. These can use Realm Commander chat. So you can actually have like a Commander chat with your faction, which everybody sees, which is pretty cool for organizing PvP and stuff. I think it's awesome. That's very, very cool as like a little bonus. And then of course this rank also gives you PvP damage reduction, PvP damage increase, right? So that's how that kind of works. You get a little bit of gold from that as well. But this stuff, I think, can be earned by anybody over time, and you'll progress up this rank as you keep playing. So it's not that bad in the end. Which means that also players every week will always have some kind of a title to apply as long as they've been participating in PvP. Even if they didn't get any other rankings, they should be able to get the honor points one. And they'll keep ranking up and having some kind of title active at all time with this. Okay? So I think this is pretty important to mention, honestly. The rankings each week is a thing. Here's a ranker effect. I can apply it, but I don't have any because it hasn't been a week, right? You don't get that in the closed beta. But it exists, okay? It's important to keep in mind that that's something that players can do and participate in. I think that's it. I think that goes over every aspect that I wanted to go over. We went over even the auction house, went over progression, we went over gear, customization and builds, combat and gameplay generally, everything from each of the stores to the Ruby shop. Again, I don't see any pay to win. The only thing I see is pay to progress faster. I don't see, so again, and I want to reiterate, I split pay to win into 2 things, okay? Pay to win, which is genuinely pay to win. You pay money because there's only one way to get something that will help you in a situation that no one else can get unless they pay. Okay, that's the one split. And the other split is pay to progress faster, where you can progress your character and gain speed faster by paying, okay? And I don't see any pay to win. I see pay to progress faster. And the pay to progress faster will maybe progress you like 10% faster, okay? It's not super crazy, and again, it just gets to the end game faster. It doesn't get you... There's no snowballing effects. Elyon doesn't have that stuff. Elyon's more about just, here's a bunch of situations, here's a bunch of world bosses all over the map that you can kill, here's a bunch of places you can go to fight players, here's all this stuff, you can go fight all these things and get all these rewards, you can click on these and see what kind of drops will happen, and and you could do anything that you want, okay? But you're not gated by content in terms of, like, you know, gear or anything. You can pretty much do anything that you want. And there's no real snowballing, honestly. Like, getting items in the end, it's not going to make you, you know, there's no... It's not snowballing like you see in other games, essentially. It's just fun. It's just an enjoyable game that you can play and enjoy the combat system over everything else, right? The combat system has been so much fun. And you can even look in previous videos that I have for, like, when we're doing PvP and stuff. But all that I really have is VODs on my channel, so... so you'll kind of see that stuff. I think that's it. We got this, what, just under 2 hours? Kind of going over each topic. I guess I'll probably make this into a single video that cuts off, like, right now-ish, and it'll just be divided into different parts with, like, when I'm talking about different segments. I did this once before, it went pretty well, so I'll try that again and see if that's good. And hopefully this video, again, it's a long video, and it's on purpose, because you cannot judge an MMO in 10 minutes. You cannot do that, okay? There's a lot of people on YouTube... I'm sorry, I'm going to gripe a little bit. There's a lot of people on YouTube who review MMOs, okay, and that's fine, but they play an MMO for like 2 months and then they go do something else. Or they play it for 5 days, they review it for 10 minutes on YouTube, they do something else. They do that because they need money, okay? That's not how you review an MMO, though. I'm doing it this way because if you're going to play an MMO, it's because you're going to be playing it for like a year or more. That's the mentality that you should have with MMOs, because that's what most people end up doing. Elyon, you can play casually, so you can play it on and off however you want. You'll enjoy the game because of the combat system and do fun stuff whenever you want, which is pretty good too. And I think it does require a little bit longer of a time to actually explain and understand what's going on. Okay, that's why I think that this is a bit of a better kind of overview of the game and what's going on. From my perspective, where I'm not exaggerating anything. I'm doing this live without any script in front of me, just kind of talking about the things that I've seen over the last few days, as well as what I saw in Closed Beta Test 1. Okay? And for anybody that played Closed Beta Test 1, I'm curious on thoughts as well, because the narrator that we have now for, like, when you're casting skills, or, like, you know, you can't because you're CC'd or something, that lady, way better than Closed Beta Test 1. And not only that, but her voice lines actually really describe a lot of the things that in Closed Beta Test 1 were very weird and off. So now they did a lot better with explaining things for new players, and I think that's very, very good. No more monotone voice from Closed Beta Test 1. Now we actually have a voice that's much easier to listen to, telling you, hey, you can't use your skills right now, and that's fine, right? I think it's been a lot better. So so there's a bit of difference between both testing periods. I think that they, honestly, the devs and the publisher, they're doing a lot for the players, which is really good. And hands down, the CM team is amazing, okay? They spent, like, they're just literally out there just hanging out with people. Like they spent some time on stream the other day just sitting on a couch and just talking about random stuff. Not even Elyon related at times. Just, you know, hanging out. That's really cool. I don't know, I like that. I like that. Yes, they talked about Elyon things too, but, like, they're just chill people that like video games, and they actually genuinely seem to enjoy the game, which I think is extremely important in a CM team. So, you know, props to them for doing really, really well, I think. And they're also hosting events in-game, which I hope continues after release, that they just randomly host events on weekends or during the week to just go and, like, do stuff, which I think is really fun, not only for the players to go and do things and kind of be social and be in the same place with one another, but it's a good way to kind of reach out and talk to the CMs a little bit too. And they are listening to us. I mean, they did a whole stream where they took a bunch of the popular streamers and they asked them to come on and ask questions, totally unscripted. And they asked questions. They asked really good questions. And, I mean, we didn't always get the answer that we wanted, but it's important because it shows that the CMs are willing to communicate with us. So at least for now, that could always change later on, right? But at least for now, this is really, really good. And I think that's an important little memo that I wanted to make at the end of this this whole video here. So again, I am streaming this live on Twitch. This will all be cut out and put up on YouTube as well. So for the YouTube folks, I'll be cutting this off here. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped a little bit. Let me know in comments and such what you guys think. I hope you watched the whole 2 hours, though, because if you only watched and like you went from place to place, you're probably not getting the whole picture. It is important. It is important. Okay, just sit down, get some tea. I have tea in front of me that I haven't been drinking. and just chill for a little bit, because I do think that this stuff is important. There's a problem where Elyon is releasing right now, like, the day after New World's release, because New World moved their date to the day before Elyon. And I feel like Elyon isn't going to get the proper release that it I think deserves, because I do think that Elyon's game systems are way more fun and way more unique than a lot of these other games coming out. And I feel like it's at risk of not having a release simply because of other games and so many other things that people are playing right now, between, you know, expansions or Bless Unleashed, or, you know, people are waiting for Lost Ark or New World, right? So that's what I'm kind of worried about, is that there's a lot of things on the MMO market right now, which is good, actually. But the competition really likes to butt heads, and it could be tough for Elyon because of that. So that's my main worry, is specifically that. But alright, hopefully this was helpful. I appreciate you guys who did watch the whole time. And yeah, I'm definitely playing the release, so I'll see you guys there. Good day.